So I'm going to tell you today about a community of older adults called the Longevity Explorers and some work that we've been doing together, co-creating interesting new technologies. And the reason we got interested in this is illustrated on this slide. And, as the moderator mentioned, I used to be a physicist. I'm not sure I count as a physicist anymore, but I always like to have a graph in my presentations, but I promise there'll only be one, and this is it. And the reason it's here is that I think it nicely illustrates what we see as the potential of technology in relationship to aging. And what this shows on the vertical axis is functional ability. So it's how well you can walk, how well you can talk, how well you can think, all those things. And on the horizontal axis is time or age. And what you see, the red curve is what might happen if you just left to your own devices. And our thesis is that the right technological gadgets can push out the time at which that functional ability declines, and so that you can move from being on the red curve to the green curve. So we're interested in finding ideas and products and services that help push that curve out, extend the time at which you can be happy and have a healthy life. And we're interested in finding them and helping make them come to life. And so that's really our underlying goal. And when we started it, the first thing we did is we went out and we interviewed lots of older adults, and we rapidly discovered that there's, this is probably not news to any of you, but there's a very large untapped pool of wisdom and experience among the community of people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. And in the USA, and I'd say in most Anglo-Saxon countries, society has rather pushed those people aside. And so they have this great desire to be useful. And they feel that they can be useful, but that society doesn't really let them be useful. And so as we came to understand that better, we decided there was an opportunity to start a sort of a club which would let people be useful and help to bring to life new ideas and new technologies, and also do some kind of interpersonal bonding and self-actualization. And so we started the Longevity Explorer community as a club, and we started it 5 or 6 years ago now. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it and share some of the results. So this is just a picture of some of our groups of Longevity Explorers from when we were starting this several years ago. And we call the groups circles. So there are a number of different Longevity Explorer circles. At the moment, they're all in the USA, but they could be elsewhere. We're always keen to start new ones. And we describe them as a unique sharing, evaluation, and ideation community made up of older adults in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and friends, families, and caregivers. And there's a few things to notice from these pictures that I think are quite important and very different to how most things work with communities of older adults. Notice they're all sitting around tables, and you maybe can't tell this, but they are the ones doing the talking. This is not something where somebody gives them a lecture and they sit back and listen. And it's not something where somebody just wants to ask for their opinion about something. It's when they come and they generate their own ideas and share learnings with each other. And so that's the basic format of the group. And to help you understand the sort of things we do, I'm just going to share a few of the things we've worked on together. And then I'll get into the co-creation, which is really my excuse for being here. This is one of our circles. We started 5 initially back in around about 2014 and 15. The longest running of them have been going for 6 years now. And the same people keep coming back. They like it a lot. And at some of the early discussions, people started talking about challenges they have to do with growing older. And many times someone would say, well, opening jars is my challenge. And at one of the circles, one of the ladies said, I just bought this new jar opener and I want to bring it along next time because it wasn't very good and I want to tell you all about it so you don't make the mistake of buying it too. And another one of the explorers put up his hand and he said, well, I'm going to bring mine because I just got a really good one and it's great and I want to show you all. And so the next month, all of the explorers in that circle brought along their jar openers and they compared them and talked about them. And as I went home, I realized that there was really, it was pretty powerful, but I felt like we could do something even better. And so we went out and we, searched online and we bought all of the jar openers that looked at all promising on Amazon. And I designed a little quasi-scientific protocol for evaluating them. And what you see in this picture is one of our circles where there are a number of different jar openers and a number of different size jars, and they're all passing them around and trying them out and filling out the forms in front of them with our quasi-scientific protocol. And what we learned was that some jar openers were better than others, but more importantly, there was no such thing as the best jar opener because different people needed a jar opener for different reasons. Some had a grip problem, and some had a levering problem. And there was a third one, which I'm forgetting. And so we kind of were able to unpack all that. And the final piece of what we do is we did this in multiple different explorer circles, and we synthesized all of the learnings, and we wrote it up in a page on the Tech Enhanced Life website where we report what we learned from these discussions. And now older adults all around the world find it when they Google something like jar opener or I want to buy a jar opener. So that's a very low-tech example. But I like to start with it because a lot of people think that technology has to mean computers. And in my mind, a jar opener is also a piece of technology, a simple one, but still very useful. Let me show you a different example, a contrast really. This is a different circle of explorers, and this is one of our regular monthly meetings. I think it was back in 2017, perhaps, and it was when the product Alexa was quite new. I'd never tried it myself. And one of our explorers came along and was passionate about how much she liked this product, this artificial intelligence that she could talk to. And this picture was the first time we discussed it. And subsequently, it's come up many times in many circles. And of course, these days, everyone knows about it, and many, many people have them, including many of these older adults. And now when they talk about it, some of them say things like, well, Alexa is my friend. And so in these discussions, people compared their ideas for how they used it, and they swapped anecdotes about why it was good. And some of them are like experts on using it, and some of them are new to it. It's really an interchange and a way to kind of uncover, well, what it's actually good for older adults. So that's a second example. A third example, we've spent a lot of time exploring interesting apps. These days, lots of older adults have smartphones. I'd say the vast majority, actually. But when we started doing this work, that was less common. And our explorers were very interested in apps that would be useful for them. And that's quite different, of course, to apps that are useful for 20-year-olds. And so our explorer circles together have for years now been comparing notes about apps they find that they like and trying them out together. And we have a sort of a portfolio that we think of as useful apps for older adults that, again, you can read about on the Tech Enhanced Life website. So far, all of this is about discovering useful products that exist already, right? And that's kind of important because there are lots of things out there that are useful that people don't know about. In the process of the first few years of the Explorer Circles, we tested out a variety of different things, and we learned that we could do all of these things. We explored the question of, well, what are some unmet needs that really need addressing? We explored the question of, well, how do people do that today? When I say people, I mean older adults, people in their 70s and 80s. We did some product explorations, like I've told you about. We tried out some concept evaluations where we looked at prototypes that some innovator had developed and gave feedback on it. And we did brainstorming and ideation of the sort that is very common in sort of, high-tech inventor circles, which is where I spent a lot of my career. But if you'd asked me in advance, I would not have thought a group of people in their 70s and 80s with no special expertise in technology or innovation or anything like that would naturally gravitate to brainstorming and ideation. But we've had a great deal of success with it. It's really interesting, all the clever ideas that they've come up with in these groups. So in phase one of this whole exercise, a real goal was, as I said at the beginning, a club. We wanted to have a functioning multi-circle older adult explorer community. And the goal was to generate insights for ourselves, the older adults, and for other older adults that we'd share on the Tech Enhanced Life website for the world. And we feel we accomplished that pretty nicely in the first few years, and we still do that. That's really the heart of what we do. But for several years now, we've been in phase two of this, which is really about also, not instead, but also engaging with innovators and product developers to really help them develop better products and services. This is where the co-creation comes in. And that's what I just want to talk about a little bit. And then I'm going to throw it open for questions. So we've done quite a lot of these projects now where we work with companies. We think that what we do together with our explorers is very valuable for companies, and they think so too. So we think it's appropriate to charge a fee for that. And every time we do a project, our explorers share part of that fee. So these are not free. This is not where we're doing free work. This is regular stuff that people get compensated for. And I have to say, I think that's a pretty important part of of people feeling useful. In the older adult services world, there's a lot of talk about volunteering, which is good. And there's a sort of an expectation that older adults should do things without getting paid for them. And I like to think if we're doing something valuable, they deserve to get compensated. Anyway, this is an example of a group discussion, which is something we often do, a guided group discussion. You can see in the back corner the people from one of the companies watching. And another completely different sort of interaction we've done is really a user experience or a user testing type interaction. And these two pictures, what you see is two of our explorers. You can probably tell are the ones with gray hair. The gentleman on the right is in his mid-90s, actually. And they're testing an app, a prototype of an app. And the two younger people are developers from the company who are doing the observations, and there's other people in the room too, but this is a close-up. So it's a completely different sort of project. And the co-development is really, it involves a number of different steps. You see some pictures here of a very enjoyable co-development project we did with a very large company, Fortune 500 company. And what's the hallmark of co-development is it involves people from the company and people from the explorer community, the older adults, the potential customers, all working together. It's not sort of where the company invents something and shows the older adult and gets their feedback. It involved joint brainstorming, joint ideation, creation of a prototype and subsequent, feedback. And so you see the people in action here. I think that the kind of final remarks I want to make about all this is everyone involved likes it a lot. That it's kind of fun, but also it's really heartwarming to watch. First of all, the young engineers and marketers and developers that take part from the companies, every single time they come up to me afterwards and they said, "Oh my God, I had no idea these people would be so interesting and would have so many ideas." It's a revelation to them, I think, just how much wisdom and experience and ability to articulate the ideas people in their 70s and 80s have. And then the older adults, for their part, they quite frequently say things to me like, "It's been years since anyone bothered to ask my opinion. It was so refreshing," one of them said to me once. "I was sitting there and all these young people were just glued to every word I said. They were just fascinated, and it was so rewarding. I really felt like I was useful today." And so these are really why we do these things. They're fun. We like to think that out of them will come some really promising new products that will meet our goals that I talked about at the beginning of pushing out the time at which our functional ability starts to decline. But I think as I've been doing this for years now, I've decided that, perhaps the most important part is this kind of, intergenerational interaction and the sort of mutual enrichment and sense of purpose and self-worth that happens. I'm going to turn it over for questions. I think I'm a minute or two ahead, which is always good. Maybe we have time for more questions. On the slide, you can also see the address of our website where you can learn more, and you can see an email. So if you decide you've got questions for me afterwards, feel free to send me an email.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for inviting me to share our experience in co-creating an innovation home for Hong Kong seniors to age in place. As you all know, Hong Kong has the longest life expectancy in the world, even ahead of Japan. The main reason, by 2040, almost 1 in every 3 of our citizens will be aged 65 or over. One of the main reasons is that baby boomers are turning or about to turn to old age. By their sheer number, their needs cannot be ignored. Besides, as compared to the older generation, they are more educated and are more financially viable. A study by the Hong Kong Consumer Council found that the needs and preferences of the soon-to-be old will be different from the older generation. Aging in place has been the wish of majority of the seniors in Hong Kong, as evident by 2 local studies. A study by Professor Rebecca Chiu found that 89% of the elderly prefer community living and to be cared in the community. Another study by Professor Terry Lum found that 75% of the elderly prefer living at home, even when their health deteriorates. Nevertheless, the choices and options for them to stay at home may be somewhat different from now and could be more innovative than ever. Why? It's because our baby boomer, our new generation of seniors, our baby boomer seniors, they have high acceptance and the experience in the use of technology. The percentage of those aged 65 or over who had used the internet had risen from 8% in 2012 to 44% in 2016, and even up to 62% last year. For the percentage of those aged 65 or over who had smartphone had also risen from almost 7% in 2012 to 65% last year. All these have given us insight as a housing provider to think of how we could contribute to make aging in place a success. We do believe housing with care solutions and smart technology will be the answer. To be able to facilitate the seniors to age in place, we need 3 very important factors. 1 is the age-friendly environment. 2nd is the care and support we offer to them. And finally, it's the preventive health and wellness program that we help them to sustain their health and prevent premature deterioration. And this is indeed a co-creation process that involves different disciplines, including the building and design professionals, health and social care professionals, and most importantly, the seniors and their family members. Through this co-creation process, we have developed a range of housing solutions to meet the needs of seniors of different backgrounds. For instance, we have the Aging in Place scheme in all our 20 housing estates for the grassroots. We also have the senior citizen residence schemes for the middle-income seniors, and the Tanner Hill for the high-income group. To share our insights and experience with the public, we also have community education initiatives such as the Elderly Resources Center and the Mind-Friendly Home Exploration Center. These 2 are the senior citizen residence schemes for the middle-income group we developed almost 20 years ago. Knowing that emergency support to give the seniors peace of mind is the most important design, we have installed the hands-free door phone and the emergency call phone. The users, the seniors, will be given wireless watch transmitter, and we also installed a nurse call button at their bedsides. Our co-creation process continues when we plan and build the Tanner Hill a few years ago. After getting more feedback from the seniors and their caregivers, we have added more technology to make that home even smarter. We have added the entrance door contact tracking, no motion response detection, and health data collection and monitoring. As I said, to share with the public our learnings and experience in how to make their own homes more age-friendly, we have the Elderly Resources Center. In the center, we have mock-up flats to simulate age-friendly homes. We also have guided tour. The public can visit our simulated age-friendly living space with related home design and products. We also have experiential learning activities to help those non-seniors to understand more about aging, their needs, and the importance of age-friendly home environment. For the seniors who visit our center, we also provide them with different health screening tools to help them have a better understanding of their own needs. To make sure our age-friendly design in our housing solutions are really down to earth and to be able to meet the needs of local seniors, we have been adopting a co-creating design process, inviting the end users, that is the seniors, professionals, and students to share their ideas, understand the impacts of aging on daily life of the seniors, in order to develop and design an innovative age-friendly home. We have used different channels to involve the seniors in the co-creating process, including workshops, user panels, questionnaires. Last year, in October, we have conducted a 2-day co-design workshop using the design thinking approach. Including empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. It's an evolving process. First is empathize. Through mutual exchange, among the seniors and the non-seniors, and also experiential learning activities, especially for the non-seniors. The participants will develop empathy for seniors. They will know their pain points. For instance, we'll ask them to sit on a wheelchair, and we also will cover their eyes to let them experience the poor eyesight. All these activities are trying to help them to simulate aging. Define. We'll use age-friendly items to help the participants to identify the seniors' pain points and design innovative furniture and equipment in the one-to-one show flat. Ideate. Then the participants will brainstorm different ideas on how to create an ideal age-friendly home on a 1-to-10 home model. Eventually, they will produce the prototype with this detailed design of an age-friendly home. We have the interior designers and the architects to help them to understand the different use of materials and color matching to give them some more stimulation. Test. They will use the 3D printer to print the furniture in order to build and test an ideal innovative home. The final models selected by majority of the participants are now shown in our center. This is one of the units. It is for a senior who can still live independently. We call it the independent living unit. In the co-creation workshop, we were told by the seniors that they don't want to be under constant surveillance, and they want the monitoring system to be non-video based because they're more concerned about the images being sent. So we have chosen a fault detection system that can passively monitor the environment without wearables or cameras. An alert will be sent to a caregiver for immediate response if a fault is suspected. We are also told by the seniors that they are afraid that their forgetfulness may induce home safety issues. So they have suggested a smart plug that can control the connected devices remotely on smartphone. It can allow the seniors to check if they have turned off the electrical appliances even when they have left home. Other items they mentioned and we sourced include the smart doorbell, motion sensor night light, motion activated toilet night light, and different kinds of robotic solution for cleaning. For the smart doorbell, there is a vibration pad on the pillow or sofa to alert them whenever someone presses on the doorbell. To keep them smart and healthy, they also want devices to remind them to take medicines, to help them understand their food consumption, and to keep up with their exercise. Just like this smart pill box, it is lockable, and you can preset the time for the medicine. If it's not the right time to take the medicine, it will be locked. And whenever it's the right time to take the medicine, there will be an alert to send to the senior or their caregiver to remind them to take the medicine so that they won't miss or overdose. This is another one is the digital salt tester to help them to monitor their own sodium taking level. And there are also the smart food scale, the smart scale, and the smart exercise equipment. Another home model is the dependent living unit. It is for the seniors who are more frail and require caregivers' assistance in daily living. The caregivers share with us in the co-creation workshop that they want to have different sensors to help with their care, such as the infrared bed exit sensor, especially for those with dementia, smart monitoring system, multi-purpose sensors, and the one-stop smart home controller. Very often, the caregivers themselves are also seniors, so they are looking for light and easy to carry wheelchair. For example, this rollator can be used to assist the seniors to walk. When the senior becomes tired, it can be easily turned into a wheelchair. And another one is the foldable electrical wheelchair. It's rather light and easy to carry. To share these age-friendly home ideas co-created by the professionals and the seniors more widely to the public, we also developed various experiential learning activities through technology. The first one is the AR game. It modeled on the two model flats that we created from the workshop. The participants or the players would be mostly the non-seniors, especially the students, the primary school students, or even kindergarten students. We'll ask them to walk around the model flat, and whenever they see QR codes, they will place a smartphone to scan the QR code, and there will be a question to pop up, and ask them to guess what are the purposes of these age-friendly design. After their answers, we give them some educational message to let them know more about the needs of the seniors and how the age-friendly design can help to improve the quality of life of the seniors. With these tips, they can go back home to share with their parents and their grandparents to make their home more age-friendly. Another game is the VR game. It's for all ages. We have free games to educate the participants with the right behaviors on how to maintain healthy lifestyle in old age. The first game is about drug management. They will be asked to differentiate whether that's the right behavior in managing the drugs. And the second game is about scheduling and daily routine. And finally, it's a game about maintaining a regular habit of exercise. The students and even the seniors found this game very interesting, and they like to play with it in our center very much. Co-creation actually is a never-ending process. We'll continue to input ideas collected from different sources to make this process continue to evolve. We have data from our health screening tests from the visitors visiting our center. Every year we have around 20,000 visitors, about half or more seniors. So these data are very important and valuable to guide us on how to improve our age-friendly designs. We also have feedbacks from the visitors and professionals. And finally, we also partner with different technology solution developers. They may share, after listening to the problem statements we collected from the visitors and the professionals, they will think of some innovative products. And whenever they have prototypes, after checking they're age-friendly and safe, we can place them in our center for the visitors and our seniors to test and to offer feedback to these technology solution providers to refine the products. All these co-creation process aims at to make our innovation home truly age-friendly and evolves with time to help Hong Kong seniors to age in place. Thank you.